Hey guys, I just recently got a comment on one of my older videos from the old 29 gallon when I first got a K1 Nano skimmer from IceCap. HCB Chemistry OCOM, I'm assuming that's .com, asked or stated, I just bought that skimmer. It gets here in a week. I saw the skimmer cup and it looks like a great skimmer. Do you have an update on the skimmer by chance? And I said, I don't know if I have the response in here, but I just basically said, hey, the skimmer is no longer on that tank. It's currently on my 75-gallon tank at the moment, temporarily until I can get it upgraded. But I added so much water volume from going from the 55 to the 75, and I have a huge 55-gallon sump, so I think I'll be okay for a little while. But I basically just told him that, and he said I'll do an update video for him. And he said, thank you, let me know when it's out. I really want to see in action. I hate that I have to wait to get mine next week off of Amazon. Well, I'm sure you won't have to wait too much longer if it's Amazon. But anyways, without any further ado, here is the old beast. It is going. I think because I don't regularly clean my parts like I should. Some guys are just very thorough, very on point with cleaning their components, cleaning their pumps, and the recommended for long years was vinegar solution, but I guess there's a lot of people out there saying the vinegar will actually damage the components. Plastic, it'll leach into them. So the recommended solution now is a citric acid solution that you can get off like BRS, and that's a lot more gentle on the parts long term. So I'm gonna have to look into that. But for context, I've only rinsed this out in water. The pump's gotten a little bit noisy. The only thing I've had to do in the way of maintenance, other than that, is there are a couple times that the silencer air intake thing to help create the bubbles has gotten loose at the connection point. It just kind of, you just stick it on there, and over time I've noticed that if it's not working right, you need to trim that pipe just a little bit. And I don't know if that changes how it skims, but it seemed to address the issue every time. That's the only thing I can really think of in the way of long term, is I've had to trim that white tube a few times to help it work correctly. But other than that, it runs really well. For a Nano skimmer, this was my first skimmer, and I loved it. It was really neat. It's a magnetic, so it can it can be an in tank or an in sump skimmer. It works really well. The one thing I like about it is not only can you adjust, there's an air valve there. You can adjust how much water it's drawing in, or I should say not air valve, but water valve. There's a water gate that goes up and down, and you can adjust how much water it's drawing in to help it skim, or you can raise and lower the height literally with the magnet on the back. I don't know if you can see that. There's a magnet back there. So it performs really well. You can see, even on, I mean, 75 gallons, so this is way undersized, but look at how consistent, how dark it is skimming. They've proven recently, and VRS did a few videos on this, that it's better to have an undersized skimmer that constantly performs than have an oversized skimmer that never performs. And the rule of thumb there is, I think the analogy they used was something to the effect of, you wouldn't try and fuel a jet plane with moped, like a gas from a moped. Basically, is if you have a gigantic oversized skimmer, sometimes you might not have the waste or the bioload for that skimmer to work properly. Whereas if you have an undersized skimmer, it will always work. Case in point, now I will say my nitrates and everything aren't crazy out of control. They might start to get that way because I recently added a lionfish, and I got to dump krill in there almost every day, and sometimes he doesn't even eat it. So one thing I did, which I'm trying out, is I actually am growing a form of hair algae in my refugium, and I have amphipods in there. I probably will be adding, a separate chamber or I have a separate chamber over here, a huge chamber that I want to do chaetomorpha in. Maybe I'll do the chaetomorpha in this chamber and switch it over. That probably makes more sense because this has the grate on it, which I might reinforce with some like screen door, just so that the chaeto doesn't, if it dies off, it doesn't go into the sump or the return chamber over here. But yeah, I think it's a great skimmer. If you're getting it for a 29 gallon, it's going to be a beast. It is. If you're doing it for a nano tank, it's just, I mean, it's performing its duty even on a 75. I mean, obviously with over 120 gallons of water here, it's way undersized, but it's doing something. It's not just sitting there doing nothing. Look how dark that skimmate is. It just, even at home when I had it on my BioCube, it just skims. It's just that I think Ice Cap's a really good brand. They make good things. Now, I got such a good deal on my big skimmer that I have at home on the 72 gallon Bowfront, which is the Reef Octopus Essence 120. But if I didn't get such a good deal on that, I would have been getting like a new Ice Cap skimmer, because that's how good they are, and they're really affordable. They're well priced. They're well made. If you take care of the pump, it'll last long. It won't. It was super quiet when I first got it. It does have a slight hum to it, and it's been running for almost a year now, nonstop on one tank or another. But I think that's just more because I'm really hard on my parts, and I don't really clean them as much as I should, if I'm being honest, as you can tell. But yeah, I mean, you can see the Predator Reef here is doing really well. Just fed them. I had one of the Rosemont movers go down. It's pretty much toast, and I think it's because I hooked up this high door wave maker, and after that it was dunsies. There's no real coming back from that, so I'm gonna have to possibly figure out a new solution. But it seems like it's doing well on two wave makers. I have a little bit of build up on the bottom, so I might have to change that up at some point. But the corals are growing, they're healthy, and this tank, I'm just doing really easy corals, very minimal maintenance. I have some huge Xenia colonies. That was a little guy, now it's getting ginormous. I hope it grows over the whole rock. That'd be super cool. And I have some of those mushrooms that are growing in various spots. But yeah, I think I think it's a great skimmer for you. I think you're going to be very happy with it. I don't think you should have any buyer's remorse. It's an excellent nano skimmer. It even can work interim on bigger tanks. I wouldn't do it long term just because of the size of the tank and the bio load. But I mean, look at it. It's going strong. It's been operational for about almost 8 months now, and it's been running almost nonstop. So, I don't have any complaints with it. You'll notice I did lose the. There's a screw that goes here that I lost, and I ended up having to silicone this bracket. This is the bracket for the magnet. Originally, I was taking it off because I was just going to stick it in the sump, and then I decided, oh wait, I do want the magnet, and I lost that part. But if you lose the part, it actually holds on there pretty nice, but you might have to silicone it. But yeah, I mean, the only quirk, like I said, is just that airline silencer tube. You might have to cut a little tiny section off so that it works correctly. But yeah, you should get it. It's highly recommended if you have a nano tank or you got a built-in, an all-in-one tank. It'll fit right behind there in a Nuvo, no problem. It's just an all-around great little skimmer. High quality materials. It looks great, and it runs good. So I hope that answers your question. And peace out, my friend.